Well, good evening to everybody out there. It's Blair Nightingale here with Tradeway. It's time for Market Monday 2023. This is the first one, obviously, that we're going to have for 2023. It's the new year. So we are going to dive right in with what we're doing here at Tradeway in the new year. Starting off the week, we're back for all of our YouTube programming. If you didn't know, we've got shows here on YouTube every day of the week. Okay, we're releasing all kinds of content. Market Monday is a time for you and I to come together on Monday night. Maybe you're watching on the recording, but we come together 6 p.m. Central Time on Monday nights. And we're going to talk about the markets. We're going to look at charts. We're going to look at what the indexes are doing. We're going to look at technical analysis. We're going to look at where do we see the markets going, even just this week, not just in long term, but what's some things that we need to know if we're looking to take some action in the near term. So we're going to start the night and the year off correctly, right as we see it here over at Tradeway. And we're going to do a little market update. That's what we need to do coming into the start of the year, I think. Through the Christmas break, it's lower volume. A lot of Wall Street is away, not trading. It can create some interesting conditions, but it's also a bit of a release, if I can say it that way, when we get back into the normal swing of things. And we've actually seen that in the chart. The chart has been telling this story. This isn't just my opinion. So we're going to look at that because I want you guys to know where we are at, right? I liken the markets to road conditions all the time. You are the driver, your stock trading system is the car, and the conditions are the road. We're going to have people joining us tonight from all over the nation, right? You'll have slightly different conditions as to the weather. The season, right? There's a season that we're in the markets. We're actually in a bear market. Doesn't mean it's always going down. Sometimes it's going up a lot. Sometimes it's going down. But overall, we're in a bear market season. But day to day, the weather, the road conditions tells us, hey, how should I be driving today? And for us on here, it's how should I be trading? How fast should I go? Right? Risk management is a huge part of trading. We talk about that on here all the time. How fast should I go? What kind of trading should I be doing right now? If we're talking stocks, options, which is what we focus on here at Tradeway primarily, right? There are other kinds of markets. We fixate on the US stock markets and we do a lot of options. We talked last year about what are options, right? What are the different option strategies that we look to primarily? And of course, you can always see those episodes logged right here on YouTube. You subscribe, you won't miss anything. Okay, so that's what we focus on. And right now, right, the season is definitely what I call winter. It's winter, but I wouldn't say it's deep winter yet, but definitely look at this chart, right? If I go over and look at the chart, look at what we've been doing here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 sessions. Okay, 9 trading sessions. Now, we had some shortened weeks because of Christmas and then New Year's. Of course, the market is closed today in observance of the New Year's Day holiday, right? So we didn't have trading sessions there. So this is just over 2 weeks of data, and we just chopped sideways. That's all we did. And when I talked to our students in the program over the course of December, really the latter half during this, when you get closer to the actual Christmas Eve, Christmas Day break, it's just chopping sideways. Doesn't happen every year, but it was slow. It was slow. Certain option strategies can thrive in that sideways environment because you're really looking for what we call theta decay. You're looking for your options that you are selling to decay. And that's a way that traders of options can make money. We don't need the stock to go in our direction. We just watch it go sideways, and we are able to make money on those strategies because that's how those strategies work. See, it's not one size fits all. A lot of us understand trading to mean I buy a stock at $10 and I sell it at 15, right? Just making up numbers here, make it simple. And I make $5 a share. I buy low, I sell high, right? That's the old saying. Everybody knows that, or at least most of us know that. By the way, I started this knowing absolutely nothing. So if I'm speaking to you tonight, you're going, man, I don't even know what he's talking about right now. Just know I started knowing absolutely nothing. You might be coming into this new year and going, you know what? This is my year. I want to make new financial commitments, new financial partnerships. I have new financial goals. Maybe the Lord's been speaking to you about trading for a long time. I meet people all the time around here at Tradeway. They're like, you know what? I've been searching, thinking about this, kicking this around for a long time, and I haven't done it. And now's the time. Well, maybe that's where you're at. I talked at the end of last year. We don't have to wait for January to make resolutions. We don't have to wait for January to decide, you know what? I'm going to learn to trade, or I'm going to get a lot better at it. I'm going to get a lot better at it, right? I'm going to take it to a level it's never been at. You may not be struggling out there, right? I've got areas in my life that I'm good at, right? It's taken time to get there, but I'm good at, but I know that I could be great at it, right? Not for my glory, but I want to be as good at what I'm called to do as I can possibly be. So you may be out there going, you know what? I'm good, but I want to get better. I want to get better this year. And even though you don't have to wait for January to do that, now that it is January, hey, the world is somewhat ablaze, if you will, with the newness of opportunity. They are consciously taking stock of, we have a new opportunity. There's a new season here. The reality is you can connect to those truths in the Lord at any time, right? I told the Tradeway staff earlier today, one of the amazing things about knowing the Lord, and I've known him for 17 years now, is that he can always do something new. And he always has in my life. He can do something new. He can take something old, he can make it new. He can take something broken, he can make it new. He can take something good and make it great. He can make it new. He can always bring new things in. But the world is very conscious of this on January 2nd. And we can run in that momentum. And that's part of what I want to say today is now that we're coming out of this, see this flat, when the market opens tomorrow, now I don't have a crystal ball, right? It doesn't tell me exactly what the market's going to do tomorrow. Let me put this line on here, right? You can see where this has just been going flat right there. Boom. It poked below it a couple times, right back up the next day, right? Then it goes up to the 10-day, next day, gaps down, goes down, tests the line again, pulls back up. Let's zoom it in a little bit, right? Up, down, 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 up, right? Just going nowhere. So if I know other strategies, then I can work with that. If I'm plugged into the community that are looking at the markets every day, right? Assessing what's going on, what kind of opportunities are better right now, right? There's some strategies I can use that suit the job more right now than others. That's what I mentioned, looking at selling credit spreads and things like that. If I'm connected to that, I can go, oh, maybe I'm just not going to trade right now. One of the great breakthroughs any trader can come to is knowing when it's just not worth it to trade at all. And when the market isn't good for opportunities, right? There are always different opportunities out there for different traders. But for me, for you, you have an individual skill set, you have an individual risk tolerance. You might come out to the market and go, you know what? Right now, it's not a great time to trade. And that could be one of the single greatest breakthroughs that you have in your trading in 2023 is going, you know what? This year, this quarter, I looked at some market conditions and where I normally would have jumped in because I wanted to be in the markets, maybe I had some fear of missing out, maybe a lack of discipline, or maybe I just hadn't defined great opportunities well enough for myself yet and I got in, right? Well, this year I didn't. And wow, what a difference that made, right? Limiting our activity, right, is as important as refining our activity. Somebody needs to write that down. Limiting our activity is as important as refining our activity in the markets. So I say that as a precursor to, we're going to talk a little bit, not a lot, a little bit about let's just have some goals for this year. And it's admittedly somewhat, everybody's talking about goals right now, and we talked about this on Market Monday before the end of the year that we could set some before January even came. And we're going to see tomorrow. This is where I was going with this. Tomorrow, we don't have a crystal ball. We don't know exactly, but we do know that we're going to start to see some more volume, right? It's going to pick up. We're getting back into the full swing of things. The vacation is over. Wall Street's going to get back into full swing. I fully anticipate that we're going to see some actual direction being established, even if we continue to see a little bit of indecision coming right out of the break. I would anticipate this week for sure, I would see something that's going to either break above this 10-day moving average, which is really that line on top. You can see I've got 38.52 right there, where we've really just been channeling sideways. So why is this important? Well, if you've been coming in here in the last 2.5 weeks and picking a direction on a stock, it may have been very frustrating, right? Depending on how correlated it was with the indexes, right? I might have gone heavier to the industrial side. I might have gone heavier to the tech side. Here on our S&P 500, it's just going sideways. It's just going sideways, just going sideways, right? So it's not optimal, right? It's not optimal for some of the trading ideas that I may have been trying to employ. We really want to see a bias here, a strong bias and direction in one way or the other. Those are the patterns. We've been talking a lot about CL, right? CL just has a strong uptrending move, right? We had some students actually asking about this last week at the 10-day. Now, the problem I had with the 10-day is that the stock has consistently been pulling down below the 10-day, which is exactly what it did here. I did not know for certain that it was going to do that, but trusting the pattern and even the previous move that it made, which came down to the white line, the 20-day, that's really where this thing has been trending. That's what it did. It broke down, hit the 20, and bounced back up to that support line, closing just slightly below the 10-day. It hasn't moved up off support in the pattern yet. We're not seeing that follow through, but we're looking at a market that has just been flat, not doing much. And yet there are patterns out there that are worth watching. Now coming into this week, right? We can look for the indexes to gain a little bit of traction one way or the other. Because remember, here at Tradeway, we're looking for the markets whether up or down, right? They don't have to go up. When we learn how to use different strategies, we can trade the markets up or down. And if they go down and we don't have that skill set, then again, we can just stay out of the markets. We can just stay out of the markets. So that's really where we're at coming into the new year, looking for some volume to pick up, looking at the index to break that gridlock that it's been in now. I mentioned this last week inside the program, talking to the students. We were back here. The NASDAQ, unlike, this is what I'm looking at right now, the NASDAQ, right? This is primarily focused on tech stocks. The NASDAQ versus the S&P 500. These are two different indexes that we watch. Even though we primarily watch the S&P 500, the SPX I have here on the Charts by Tradeway platform, I look at the NASDAQ because obviously tech has a pretty big impact on the performance of the markets, and certainly it's heavily weighted in the S&P 500. So I do follow that. And what's interesting is that even though you see the S&P 500 just chopping sideways, I was seeing the NASDAQ continue to move down towards this historic support line. You can see the lows here. You can see the lows here. And of course, it came and dead stopped right on that line, looking at what's basically a wedge line, right? Your tops are getting lower and your bottom is horizontal. Boom, we got a little bounce off of that. That helped lift the indexes. It was positive that day. Now, there are people on Wall Street who certainly would say more that this is news driven, but here at Tradeway, we teach you how to look at chart and news at the same time. Simplifying the news for you guys. There's lots of financial news out there, but we want to simplify the news, one or two major news items, and we pretty much forget the rest. Okay. On the other side of it, we're looking at the indexes to get what we call market tone. What's the real tone? Is it positive? Is it negative? How can we make that work for us and not have it be confusing? Something we talk about every day so you can spend that time with us and you can learn how that works. Wouldn't it be nice to know, is the tide coming in or is the tide going out, right? A lot of traders who don't consider that find themselves fighting the momentum of the ocean, right? Because Wall Street is like the ocean. It's big. You can't just stop it. It's big money. We want to ride with it, not against it. Here we came into that support level, boom, popped up like it had here, like it had here. Okay. And then the next day, back and forth, right? Still indecision, but stayed positive on the day. As I look at that, I go, all right, if that level, right, that's about, let's say 10,500, right, on the NASDAQ, pretty close, a little higher than that, a little higher than that. Uh, that moving up into this 100-day, into this resistance area, that could give a nice push for the bulls through this week if that catches on some traction. If I see the markets open tomorrow and it fails, right? It rejects, we could say, at this level and it does not continue up, then I'm going to actually watch for it to come back and test that line, right? I want to know, does it have the strength to break down where it didn't here and it didn't here and it didn't here and it didn't here, right? Bulls, do something with this level, or bears, show me that you can go lower. That's what I want to see. That's all technical analysis is, guys. That's all these charts are. Who's got control? And are they able to do more this time than they were last time? That's what we want to see. And when the momentum shifts against me, right, then I'm looking for those lines in the sand to see, can they take it lower than they did last time. So the S&P 500 gives us just kind of a sideways picture here. I put this line, it's not a major support line per se. It's just where it's been chopping sideways. It definitely has these moving averages pushing down on top. But Blair's opinion, if that line on the NASDAQ holds and it can begin to push up from here, I bet we see some lift on the S&P 500 coming into the week. And that's the way we start 2023, man. Getting right into the nitty gritty of it and going, all right, what would a trader's perspective on this week look like? Especially if we're looking at choosing direction on a stock, right? Because again, I want to sync the market to my trading, sync my trading to the market. Is the tide coming in? Is the tide going out? Does it feel mostly negative today or mostly positive today, right? Mark says, hi, Blair. Mark on with you. I'm in PA today. All right. Glad to have you, Mark. Holidays, man. People are traveling. I'm based out of Dallas, but I'm out on the West Coast. I'm out on the West Coast right now. So, piano tuning artist is joining us too on YouTube. Happy New Year to you too, sir. That's a great name. I love that. Piano tuning artist. Last year's news now. Something else I'll say as we're coming into the new year, I know those of you who've been on with us, you can pop right in here on Market Monday. You can get a shot of, hey, what's a trader's perspective on the market right now? Number one. Number two, what's the news? Now, remember I just said we like to simplify the news. I'm going to simplify it for you right now, right? There's an old saying, goes something like this. If you spend 12 minutes reading financial news, you've wasted 8 minutes, right? The original quote might have been slightly different on the time, but the point is clear, right? Once you know what to look for, this isn't some hyper secret skill. You just don't need to dive into a ton of financial news, which in so many ways is very biased. You know, uh, it's a lot of opinion, and opinion isn't necessarily bad. I give my opinions at times, right? I am careful to say this is not a crystal ball prediction, right? I look at probabilities, I look at technicals, I look at trends, I look at data, and I help you guys understand how to sift through that and do it quicker, right? Together than we would be doing if we were trying to figure it out on our own. That said, when it comes to news, try to do the same thing. Let's simplify it, right? This year, we're still coming into the year with speculation on what is the Fed going to do with interest rates. Interest rates is what the Federal Reserve sets and it works its way down through our economy. Credit cards, home loans, business loans, car loans, everything that we pay interest on begins to get impacted by what's called this federal funds rate. Well, Wall Street cares about that. Wall Street cares about that. It affects a lot of things. Wall Street likes cheap money. If the rates are going up, they're not going to be happy. If the rates are going to stop, that will be at least better. So they're going to speculate on that, right? They're going to speculate. So that's going to continue to be the story. Well, how do we know if interest rates will start to come down or at least stop going up, I should say, if inflation slows down? So interest rates and inflation, which many of you have had your eyes on because it's been impacting you and your family this year, right? Well, coming into 2023, it's a new year. There's lots of hope in the year. We want to see things on the economic horizon continue to improve. But the reality is that question mark still not really dealt with, right? We've still got over 7% inflation. That hasn't actually changed. Right. So let's see if we come into the new year with a stride of optimism from Wall Street, or if they're spooked about a recession in 2023. You know, they closed out the year more so focused on that negativity than positivity. So we need to see where they land here. And that's what we do every day, which is why we want you to be in one of our programs where you can connect with all of us coaches and other students inside the program every single day, because it's a day-to-day journey, right? We've got a system set up where you can follow us and we can communicate with you all day long, right? And that's what we'll continue to do, of course, this week. Another thing I said at the end of last year, I want to bring you guys' attention to. Let's keep in mind, guys, and here, we all know this stock, right? Let's go over and look at this guy. Amazon. I got an Amazon order today, right? I'm over the I fell off the food wagon, okay, over the holidays. I'm going to tell you guys, I don't know how many of you guys out there did. By the way, if you guys are joining me today, you want to chime in, you got a question, you got a concern, you got a comment, you got something you want to say, the floor is yours. You can go ahead and post a comment right there. YouTube, Facebook, friends, everybody's joining us from either one of those. You can post a comment in there. Just want to say hi, right? Jump in with me. I love that. It's one of my favorite things. Is interacting with you guys. And by the way, that is the most powerful thing of us coming on here and doing these broadcasts, is that you can jump in and go, hey, man, we can talk about the markets on what I really want to talk about, right? And you just pop it in the comments. Again, maybe you just want to say hi. I love that too. Mark said hi, piano tuning artist. I love it. I love it. So you can go ahead and do that. And if that takes us on a little bit of a left turn and we dive into something market related based on that, I am happy to do that. Right. But I will say one of the things that I finished off last year and why I jumped over to Amazon, I don't want us to miss something that's kind of obvious. Okay. Sometimes the obvious is only obvious after we say how obvious it is. Look at this. Amazon. Now, this is post split. Okay. So I'm aware that there was a split this year and that's changed. That's changed the accessibility of a lot of stocks that did a split this year. Some of the bigger tech stocks did one. A stock split, in short, is where essentially there's an exchange of a certain amount of shares for another amount of shares, right? If I go down here over the S here, 20 for 1, right? So Amazon said, all right, 20 shares now is what you'll own for 1 share, right? If you had 1 share of Amazon before the split, you then had 20 after the split. And the value of the shares comes out exactly the same in the split. Now, of course, there's price fluctuations after, right? But the split meant, all right, I used to own 1 share that was worth what Amazon was trading for at that point. And now I own 20 shares. It's the same value overall, but it's been split into 20 shares. It's like taking a pizza and instead of 1 big piece, it's now cut into 20, which can be really great if you're going, man, it's like $1,200 for a share of Amazon. And now pre-split, let's just say up here, pre-split, it's 190. I could buy a share of Amazon for 190. That's a split, right? And there's many reasons why beyond the scope of today, but Amazon did a split. Well, 100 and let's call it 190. That's about 189 bucks. But let's just make it easy. 190. And again, I said this at the end of last year, and I'll quickly note this for all of us because I can't have a session on how to start off the year in 2023 and not talk a little bit about this. Remember, we've been in a bear market. We're not out of the woods yet. That's still the season, right? We haven't seen interest rates stop rising. We haven't seen a real bottom in the markets and in the indexes. We haven't seen CPI get back close to the 2% target that the Fed has for it. So it's still negative on those fronts, even if it has been improving a little bit. We're going to see some conditions here in the first quarter. How has those higher interest rates really impacted company earnings, consumer spending, money? What's the reality of a bigger recession, which some expect in 2023, right? So we're not out of the woods yet. But when markets move down, guess what's happening? Almost a trick question. What's happening is stocks are getting cheaper, right? Stocks are getting cheaper. Now, buying too early is how we get burned, okay? Depending on the strategy we're doing. So if we're looking at a long-term buy and hold, I just want to plant the seed for those of us who maybe haven't been thinking this. Some of us are so in the trading mindset, we maybe haven't considered this. Amazon was 190 bucks. It's now worth $85, $84 to be exact. Okay. Am I saying Amazon is a stock you should go out and buy tomorrow? No, I'm not. Right. I'm not making a buy recommendation on Amazon right now. But I am saying that one of the biggest companies, right, in the world right now that's used every day by millions and millions of people and has been a phenomenal stock in many ways is more than 50% discounted. Okay. Stocks have gone down. So as we go through this year, one of the conversations, and this is my point, one of the conversations we will continue having around here at Tradeway is yes, on the short-term trading side, which is where we started off tonight, but also, hey, we're starting to look around and go, bear markets, recessions, they can provide tremendous long-term partnership opportunities in the stock market. And we'll begin to have that discussion more this year. This past year was really dominated by how low are we going to go right now, right? Fed interest rates, because there's just not been confidence to go, oh, we're getting closer to a bottom here, right? If you look at the S&P, I'm going to go to a weekly chart here. All right, I'll go out to let's say a 1 year weekly. Okay. Changed my mind. 3 year weekly. Right? Even when there was confidence, what happened? Boom, we hit it and fell. Boom, we hit that line and fell. Tried, nope. Boom, hit it and fell. And then this last time, I think we're going to do it. I think we're going to do it. We're getting further into the year. Interest rates might stop being, raised halfway through 2023. It's not as bad as we thought. Boom, it hits that line and down it goes again. The confidence just hasn't been there. It just hasn't been there, right? So we didn't have that conversation a lot last year. We're going to have that conversation more this year, even if things roll over and get killed. Imagine, think about Amazon. It's less than 50% down or more than 50% down. And we could look at a lot of other stocks too. What if they go down another 15, 20, 25, 30%, right? I'm just speculating. It's something we ought to have on the radar. Right. And when we see the Fed begin to freeze interest rates, hold them, and even see some consumer confidence and some economic confidence rise, and maybe they begin to lower them, hey, then we might be looking at some great opportunities. Right. We don't claim over here at Tradeway, oh, you're going to perfectly time the top, you're going to perfectly time the bottom. But there are some very reasonable economic indicators that mark tops of bull markets and bottoms of bears. And we'll continue to have that discussion in 2023. Ruben says, hi, Blair. Ruben from Virginia, looking to change and expand in 2023. When I meet a human being, I'm being serious. When I meet a human being who says, I am willing to change, Lord, I'm willing to change. I'm not being shallow right now. I'm being very serious. It is one of the greatest gifts you can give to yourself, to the people you love, and in Blair's, my opinion, It's one of the greatest things we can do for the Lord. Now, the Lord is the one who helps change us. We don't do it on our own. But when you say, Lord, I'm willing, man, he can do anything with the willing. You know, one of my prayers over the years has been, Lord, I'm not willing, but I want to be willing. And he has always honored that prayer. If you're here in 2023, you go, man, I got to change my financial situation. I got to change my health situation. I got to change my spiritual situation. I got to change my familial, my marital situation, right? Like I want to improve it. I want to pour into it. I want to see miracles and breakthrough. And I'm willing. Start with me. Start with changing me. Man, I tell you what, you're going to draw the Holy Spirit because he's all about that. Transforming us from one image of glory to the next, right? This is Paul teaching on the glory of the new covenant. So, Reuben, I'm with you. I am with you. You said, Blair, we're talking about trading though. Yeah, all right. What do you want to change in trading? No doubt Reuben's going, looking forward to change and expansion in 2023. Define your change and your expansion. Spend some time with the Holy Spirit. Lord, what are you changing in me this year? Right? What are you expanding to me right now? When I get into your word, highlight it for me. I'm slow. Make it hard to miss. You know, give me that one thing, that needle moving thing that if I change that in my trading this year, everything changes. And I'm being dramatic because I'm passionate, but I'm not being dramatic in that I'm overstating it. There are those needle moving things. I mentioned one of them at the beginning of tonight's session. What if I just stop chasing some of those trades that are emotional? I didn't do them because I had a plan. I didn't do them because they're in my plan. I didn't do them because all the pieces lined up, right? The pieces that I've learned in my skill set, right? I did them because I wanted to make money and I felt the rush and I went ahead and I just pushed the button. Now I'm being a little dramatic there, but some of you guys know what I mean, right? If I just eliminated that, my trading would be so different, right? Maybe that's you. Maybe it's something else. Maybe the Lord needs to show you what it is. Maybe you need one of our coaches to connect with you and help you see, oh, this is what you're doing. And that can be extremely empowering, you guys. Can be so encouraging because you might, and I've seen many students, they're harder on themselves than they need to be. And I could sit with you and go, you know what? Let's just start with this thing right here. Let's change that, right? Let's leave that other stuff. We don't need to change 15 things at once. Let's do that. That's going to make a big difference. And we do that and we stay consistent. And we focus on that. And you go, okay, this is manageable. And you stick with the process. Trust the process. Trust the process. We've said that around here a lot more last year, 2022. Trust the process. So there's a process. Trading is not guessing, gambling, or going for it. Trading is a trade. It's a skill set. It's a trade, right? And we can teach that trade. If you don't know that trade, if you've never done that training with us at all, right? That initial training, head on over tradeway.com. You know what? I'm going to do this. I wasn't going to this part tonight, but I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to grab this for you. I've got a couple things I want to say. Let's go and I'm going to copy this. If you guys just bear with me, I'm going to pop it right in the chat. I'm going to say a couple things. I'll finish with this tonight, right? How did you end last year? How you ended last year is going to tell you a little bit about where you're starting this year, right? Did you make goals? Did you assess how far you came last year, right? Not just what didn't work, what did work. You can still do that, right? Take a little bit of time if you haven't and go, where did I end last year? What did I learn? Get some mojo going, get some praise going. I didn't end last year where I started. I had a friend tell me last night, it was his birthday. He said, you know, I had a tough year in general, but when I sat down and took an inventory, a lot more good stuff happened last year than I realized. And that gave him energy and inertia for the goals he has for 2023. Maybe you need to do that before you start out the new year. Also, set some goals, right? I won't talk about this at length. We did an episode on this recently, but set some goals that are not just monetary. And even consider setting some monetary goals that you don't feel are that hard. You say, well, that doesn't sound right. Well, hear me out for a second. Consistency in trading is huge. It's huge for the mental game. So if you can hit a number that, even though that number may not excite you, it may not financially change your life initially, if you can hit that number, a smaller number every month for 3 months, 4 months, and go, wow, okay, I'm doing it. You can always raise it, but you can get that inertia, right? That momentum, that confidence going. And that can be really huge for you. Set some goals as well that aren't financially related for your trading. I want to get some coaching this year. I want to learn a new strategy. I'm not in a program. I need to get into a program, right? I need community around this. I've been trying to do it on my own for a long time. I don't know anything about trading. I'm intimidated by it, but I really want to learn it. And I feel like this is where I'm supposed to go next. All right. You can click on that link. I popped in the comment box on Facebook and YouTube. Forgot the name for a second there. And you can join us. You can join us for a step one, start your journey. Step one, start your journey is called that because that's what we do. We start at the bottom and we help you start the journey. We do this very well here at Tradeway. We take folks who know nothing, zero about the stock market, and we help them get started. Now, we've got advanced coaches and we can take you through a process where you're learning all kinds of stuff that you'll use further down the road as a mature trader. So we can help mature traders too, but we're also very good at getting people started. And this is a great time to renew and refresh. It's also a great time to start. Why not? Why not use the momentum that the world is in right now to commit to something that can transform your life in 2023? That's what we want to invite you to do. And the last thing I'll say is if you click on that link, you will also see on Tuesdays, there is a prayer meeting we do every week. I host it most weeks. I'm not on there absolutely every week, but most weeks I am posting a prayer meeting. Okay. We pray. This is not for show. We come on and we pray together. And we actually, Ben Mitchell, the manager over at Tradeway, he texted me today. He said, Blair, do you want to keep doing the prayer meeting in 2023? Because initially we were going to do 3 weeks of intentional praying over students trading and trading skills, trading accounts, specifically asking the Lord, because why would we pursue something and not ask him how he wants us to do it and for him to be a part of it? It just doesn't make any sense. So we began doing that and then we just did it all year. We just never stopped. And now to go ahead and stop just feels weird. We have a good amount of people that join every week, and it's a place where we get to be edified and encouraged. We dive into the word. We do a little devotional, but it's brief, or at least it's supposed to be brief. I'm not known for being brief, unfortunately, in some cases, but I do try to keep it brief. And then we pray, and you guys are all welcome to come. That link I popped into the comments will show you a link to join the prayer meeting every Tuesday. We're going to do it tomorrow. At 1:00 Central Standard Time. It is recorded, but if you can join us, we'd love to have you. I have a Facebook user on here. I'm going to wrap it up for the day. I've pushed almost 40 minutes here. Facebook user saying, hey, I'm feeling some hope now. I'm feeling some hope. I'm going to tell you right now. You know why you're feeling some hope? Because I've got hope. I'm not making it about me. I'm saying it's in me. It's coming through me. And that's what we do. When I receive from the Lord, and that's what we're designed to do, it comes through. I always say what he does to you, he'll do through you. Again, this isn't about Blair. This could be somebody else saying that, right? There's other people on here, but that's what we do for each other. Peter says each one should use the gifts given to serve others faithfully, administering God's grace in its various forms. Whoa, wait a second. You're saying I'm a minister of grace? That you administer the grace of God? Yeah. Yeah. And where two or more are gathered, there I am amongst them. Ooh, I like that. I like that. Hope is good. In fact, hope is underrated. Peace is underrated. Hope is underrated. So I'm glad to hear that. I'm really glad to hear that. And I hope we can continue to provide hope. Hope. I'll say this and I'll finish tonight. I'll finish where I started, guys. It's 2023. It's a new year. The world is celebrating a new year in so many ways. And you know what? Like every year before, and this isn't an accusation. This isn't anger. But the world will forget, right? The energy they have around the new year for most people and in the cultural conversation, it's going to wear off. It's going to wear off. So, what I have the opportunity of doing is connecting myself to people who live intentionally for the Lord and for where they want to go as a lifestyle. As a lifestyle. When people come into our community and our programs, it's not just trading knowledge, it's getting connected to a people who have a lifestyle of pursuit. And when you have that, and you begin to feel like, man, God can do new things, right? And I'm moving in a new direction. It can do tremendous things for our spiritual, emotional, mental health. You say, I didn't expect to hear any of that on a trading webinar. Well, welcome to Tradeway, because it's not just one, it's both. Trust me, we get into the meat of it. We get into the nuts and bolts. It's very practical. But we are human beings and we are the drivers of the car in our trading accounts. So we address the whole person. Tradeway isn't a counseling service, but hey, we're a community, and that's what we commit to doing in 2023 as we pursue excellence in the markets. Right? So, once again, appreciate you guys being on here. If you know anybody who needs to hear what we talked about tonight, any of it, market update, hope, you name it, everything in between, go ahead, comment. If you're on Tradeway, put some comments into that comment box, tag their name. Tag their name. It'll send it right over to them. You can always click the link, send that over to them. You can share on YouTube. Send it over to somebody who needs to hear this as well. Like and subscribe if you haven't. We're not going to bombard you, but we're going to update you when we do great content, and we do content almost every day here on Tradeway TV. So you can join us here, and you can always go back and watch anything you missed. Thank you guys for being with us at the start of another exciting year. It's going to be a huge year, right? We're still in the bear market, so that's going to be exciting to follow the volatility, but who knows? Who knows where we go, right? This is no sleepy time in the market. It used to be 30 points a day was a huge day, and now it's 80, 90 most days. It's awesome. It's awesome. So you guys are in the right place at the right time. Mark says, see you tomorrow for prayer. Ruben says, this is what I love about Tradeway. It's very unique. It's very unique. Appreciate you both. Appreciate everybody else out there for being on. Thank you so much, and we'll see you tomorrow on the prayer meeting. Good night, guys.